Don't worry
it's
about it.
not a problem. It's not an emergency. Just try and keep to your days as usual. I'm like, why? There's nothing like no one can afford to actually put petrol in their cars to go anywhere.
I know.
Totally
And
life
all,
as usual.
yeah, all the different things that it affects.
Yeah.
Um,
Sorry.
uh, so no need to be sorry.
Yeah, I was
Um,
gonna say Lisa was the one
Yeah,
often talked about on air.
yeah. And she gets quite good registrations for it as well. It's definitely something that I have to reconsider now. I thought the OTs were price sensitive, but the speeches are doubly price sensitive.
Yeah.
fair enough.
A hybrid basically doubles your costs when it comes to AV or resources or staffing. Like and
100%.
I just don't think clients necessarily appreciate that. It's
Can't you just can't you
yeah.
just put a laptop at the lectern
Yeah,
with Zoom on it
that's
and it'll be
right.
fine, right? They'll be able to hear.
Mhm.
They can see it's easy. Um, yeah, I mean, there's a soapbox that's readily available to me about hybrid that I jump on regularly. And generally, I just say, yeah, to your point, Victoria, I think hybrid is two events. You need to think of it as two events running at the same time, and do you have the capacity to do that? And is and is it really important that it is delivered in that way? Because I I think that hybrid in general, hybrid events, I say is like an amphibious vehicle. It's a terrible car and it's a terrible boat. And so it does neither very well. Yes, it can do both. Um, and it's kind of achieving that goal, but it's not a great experience necessarily for either when you're spreading your resources across two events, because rarely are they actually budgeting to run two events and to kind of have team allocated to those different aspects. And then even if you did have that, it's very tricky to get the online audience to feel like they're not second class, or they're in the back row, or we sometimes say it's like they're sitting at the kiddie table at the Christmas table. It's like they're there, but they're off at on the kiddie table. And and so there's been some really interesting developments, I think, of how it's evolved since COVID. And a couple of our clients have gone with just on-demand packages, no live, so you can register for an on-demand package, and a week after the event, all the sessions are there and away you go, you watch them. And we do deliver that in on air, or kind of the on air experience, and the resource gallery, like we've done some ways with that actually works quite well, particularly because tying in the registrations, they've already paid for the registration, so they get access to on air. We just send out their links. We don't have to manage who has or hasn't got access, and away that goes. So that works really well. Um, but I think for what's happening in the world today, I think there's a few reasons that we could be going into a bit more virtual. Um, and so let's just assume that we have to for some reason. And the way that I was starting to work on a contingency plan is to say that plan A, of course, is just everyone's in person, we do the thing, and it's all totally fine, right? Plan B is that some people can't make it. Some people, either speakers or attendees, can't make it, which means we need to be able to accommodate on-site remote speakers. Okay, that's fine. And I think in that case, if people really can't make it and they want to, then we do need to turn on live at that point, and we have no choice to go hybrid, because we have a bunch of people that are able to make it and some that can't. And so, you can sort of turn on that live streaming, or you make the on demand available. as an option and they just pay for on demand and that's it. Of course, the next one is people can't make it to a central location, but they could make it to a regional location.
Mm.
I think that um, like my preference is to go full virtual straight away, right? But I understand from a sponsor's point of view and from exhibitors, they're still going to want to be in person. They want to set up a booth and they want to do that. And so our kind of plan C would be that we go to a big cities, capital cities type model, and then join that together. And that's essentially is again, it's still a hybrid in that you can watch online or you can watch at a hub, but you don't have to travel as far and go to a central location. Um, and then, of course, the plan D would be that people really can't make it even to a regional location, so we need to just go full virtual. And at this stage, and I'm interested to ask because I missed a bit of the conversation, Victoria, but at this stage, we would live stream into on air, particularly if we were going to try to maintain most of the program and do some concurrent sessions. I think on air sort of comes into its own when, as Sean said, you've already entered the full program. You turn on a couple of switches and now you've got on air working, and then you're saying, okay, here's the 5 concurrent sessions that are happening that were going to happen in person. They're now happening online. Um, but the big thing for me that's an obvious choice when choosing on air is when it is hybrid and you're doing Q&A through the app on site, Q&A on site, Q&A online is a unified experience. And if we're talking about how do we keep that together, keep those two audiences together, that at least is one way that people online sitting at the kiddie table do feel like they're at least able to get their questions in at the same priority as people in person. And at that point, I think it's really important not to take questions in person, um, and to only take questions on, text questions. So you could talk about this for some time, but Victoria, what's your take on that?
Yeah, no, I'm glad you raised that because so this is not my conference, it's one of our managers' conferences, and I've been sort of trying to prompt all the questions that they need to ask
Yeah,
in order for us to know what platform to use, whether we do on air or if it's going to be a more simple option. And exactly this, do they expect people to be asking questions in person, verbally, or can it all be text-based? And if so, the whole audience, yeah, in the room versus and online. Otherwise, you're getting these mixed
yeah,
situations. Facilitation becomes hard. If the MC's not or the facilitator's not across it, it can become really tricky. So I'm
yeah,
glad you raised that. Our situation is a bit of a moving beast. We've got a big international conference. There was always going to be a small virtual component,
right.
but that was that was mainly streaming out. Now they've offered presenters to present virtually,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
you get that. Well, okay, we recommend like they have to pre-record.
yep,
But then so we always have that as a backup. Ideally, I'd rather just press play and that's it, as opposed to them presenting live. But not all clients
totally.
want that. So there's all of these sorts of things to think about. And I liked the fact that you did draw back to the events there being that all in one, it's all there. And I
Yeah.
was saying to the others that we haven't really used it since we did full virtual COVIDs
Hmm.
trauma time. And it has changed since then. And when I think we have done some hybrids, we got an AV company to really help us with that. So, which
Yes.
we obviously would do again,
Yeah.
but they think it's only going to cost 40,000 and it might cost a hell of a lot more. So it's sort of
Yep.
these questions that you've got to prompt the client before you really can do anything.
Mm.
Yeah.
And what that virtual experience is. Is it like, when back in the hybrid of the virtual days, we would have a virtual MC the whole time. to
Yeah.
present to people. But if it's only 20 people online, well, we're probably not going to do that. But if it's half and half, well, how do you
Yeah.
make that work with the MC on the stage, who then it's lunchtime, and then the virtual people are all hanging around,
Yeah.
so it's that trying to make it all very inclusive.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the expectations that you set for the online audience, I think, is
yeah,
really key. Because sometimes we can do an event where, hey, if you want to be a fly on the wall and you just want to have it on while you're working, by all means, join this link. You've got it, right? But please don't expect that you're going to get this amazing online experience and you're going to be attending this event. Like ultimately, you have to ask the question, what is the big advantage for them watching it live over watching it on demand later? If the big thing is interaction and getting some questions answered, well, the program needs to accommodate that. Now, often our programs do not accommodate that well,
yeah,
right? We blow out in time and then we say, we were supposed to have 15 minutes. We've only got 2 minutes for questions. Okay, someone's standing at the microphone here. Ask your question, right? And now the online audience has gone, what's the point?
yeah,
Like I've already put a bunch of questions in. None of them are going to get answered. There really is no point. I'll just watch this at 2 times later, right? Like I'll just watch it on demand later and it'll be fine. But if they have this expectation that this is a bonus, it's like I'm getting the on demand sessions later. Why don't I just check in and see what I can? Maybe I'll get a question in and that's okay. Well, you set that expectation. I think it can be okay. The idea, I always think of remote speakers and remote audience as two completely separate things, right? Because one is about show contribution and one is about show distribution,
yeah,
but sometimes people think, oh, well, that's just Zoom. Let's have the speakers and the attendees all in the same Zoom, which is not a great way to do it, right? So it's nice to have speakers in a separate Zoom. You're able to have someone that meets and greets, does a quick tech check and whatever, and then away they go. But I'm totally with you, Victoria, about pre-recording. And so there is no reason to not pre-record. Generally, there are occasionally you like if you're wanting to do a poll or something, and based on that poll, your content changes. Okay, well now you're talking about, something different. But most of the time, even a poll doesn't change the content. Still run your poll, that's fine, and then have the presenter join for Q&A, a panel at the end of the session, right?
yeah,
And it just minimizes the risk of what's going on, and the quality is just so
absolutely.
much better, you
Yeah.
know?
Um,
Yeah,
what I guess my other thing is, because I think this program's sort of still being put together, how you would frame that program when you've got concurrent sessions, people are in the same
yeah.
theme, some are virtual, some are face to face, how you think it best works. Do you put all virtuals at one time? Do you put them concurrently with the in-house, in-person people?
There's some there's some bigger questions to this, right? One of the reasons that we do concurrent sessions in events is that we're bringing all these people together in a short space of time, and they might have slightly different um, interests or whatever areas, and so we have to do concurrence. When we move to online, there isn't any reason to do concurrence, right? Other than this idea that, oh, people are just are dedicating this time. And so we need to just do the same thing as if we were in person. If we're not in person, we're not limited by time and space. So why wouldn't we spread our event out over a little bit more and allow people to attend all sessions, right? Because you can actually go, we're now moving our event from these 3 days to over the next week or over the next 10 days. We're running a session every night, and now you're able to attend everything. But then you would also say there's all these like decision trees that happens once you go into this virtual world where you're saying if we're pre-recording their presentation anyway, what's the point of us having a watch party where we're all sitting and watching pre-recorded videos? Why wouldn't we just make all those pre-recorded videos available to everyone and then just come together for the live Q&A,
Mm.
right? So now 2 weeks before your event, you make all the sessions available, all the presentations available. Um, people watch people watch all those, they take all their questions, and then you just do live Q&A. Well, now you've just dramatically reduced what needs to happen. You can go from one panel to another, to another, to another, on all these different sessions. And so it actually gives you a whole bunch more flexibility. If you are doing it in person and it is that hybrid situation, um, the chances of being able to set up a good live experience in every room, is expensive and takes some extra people, but it's doable. Again, if the expectation is that this is a bonus that I get to sit in on this session that's happening there, then their expectation is low. But we've had it before where their expectation was really high, that they, as a virtual attendee, they were going to be able to see every session. They could go, jump around, they could go, whatever. And then as soon as there was a session that was in a small room that wasn't live streamed, they were like, what is this? I thought I was signing up to a live experience. And so it's very tricky to manage what that expectation is.
Mm. Yeah. No, all good points.
I don't know if it's more confusing.
No, no, it's not. It's just, I guess again, it's not my committee, but I'm envisaging these sort of program discussions and
Yeah.
trying to make sure that they are their expectations are realistic around the experience, and the decisions that they make in their programming need to really be considered
Yeah.
about that. Because I mean, whether there's panels, whether there's group
Yep.
Q&A. So yeah. And so
100%.
yeah, I can't remember because it's been a while. There were different setups with on air, like you could have Zoom attached to it, or
Yeah.
what's the other streaming one that streams out? Vimeo. So
Yeah.
have you used events on air in recent years, and do you have a
Mhm.
preference on the setup?
Yeah, if I'm just doing a live stream, then I use Vimeo. They have changed it where you can use any live streaming platform,
Mm-hmm.
and so you can put in embed codes from other ones, which is good because um, I don't think that Vimeo is brilliant for on demand. I have had troubles with it for live, and that's probably gotten better in recent years. But generally, yeah, the way that they were doing Zoom integration was kind of like breakout rooms. It was kind of
Mm-hmm.
like meeting, being able to do one-on-ones and stuff, and it was pretty clunky.
Yeah,
Like it wasn't great. Um, and then they were using Twilio integration for being able to do those meetings, and that wasn't
that's
too
right.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't too bad. That worked okay. Um, the thing that was like an abomination was the 3D view. Like,
Oh, when you
um,
walked in and then you like, oh,
oh, that
yeah,
just the thing was just super weird, and they still do that 3D view. And every time I go to an event, even theirs, no offense here, I always change it back to 2D because the 3D thing is just wacky. Like
yeah,
it just didn't make any sense. I don't think
yeah,
it was confusing for the sake of trying to be clever and whatever. And I'm not having a go at them for going after that.
yeah,
At the time, that was something that lots of sponsors were asking for, is like, give us more ability to be able to put our name everywhere and, do something, something more in person or whatever. But
yeah.
I was really trying to embrace the advantages of what we have with virtual, and not trying to be like always calling back to, oh, I wish we could be in person. It was
Mm,
like, well, no, the fact that we've got all these people from all over the world that have been able to join that probably weren't going to be able to join in person, is a real advantage, right? And so it's just the way you have the perspective on it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. No,
but yeah, I would live stream if you were doing two-way where you want the audience to be able to talk, um, then I would just do it in Zoom and send out links. Just do it that way.
mm,
Um, and I would, if you were doing concurrent sessions, I'd still just do one Zoom meeting for the whole event, and I'd do breakout rooms for the different sessions.
yeah,
And
okay.
then you can allow people to, in Zoom, you can have it where you allow people to choose which breakout room they're in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if it's ballroom one, ballroom A, B,
Mm.
C, D, whatever, they can just jump into which one they want. And
Does that
now,
link, can you link that through the agenda? You would
uh,
have to have different
we
ones, wouldn't
we
you?
did we
Did you? With the breakouts
we
within one Zoom.
we did a tricky thing. This is a hack. We did a tricky thing where we added a Vimeo video with a link embedded in the video, and so you would click that, and it would launch Zoom,
Yeah,
and
okay.
away they go, right? But I think there's some other ways you could do it now. In the
Yeah, I'll
in
chat
the
to them.
comments, or we've done that too. In the one of the details or comments fields, we were able to put a link, and then that showed up in on air.
Yeah,
Um,
okay.
so I don't think they haven't done a lot in
Yeah.
on air.
No,
Um,
well, they probably haven't
but
really needed to do too much.
no,
Yeah, okay.
they might need to.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
But
so in terms of the sponsor, as we're talking about sponsors and the value of their
mm,
interaction with the online audience, I mean, ideally if they've got a lot of people in, you know, physically they're getting, some traction, but the app, I suppose, is the virtual way to the way to contact
yeah,
the virtual people and engage that way.
my
Um,
yeah, my feeling was that I didn't see too many sponsors really grab on to virtual in a way that I think they could have.
mm,
And part of that is like having like in on air, you could set up the exhibitor portal and stuff.
yeah,
Not the exhibit portal,
but
but in the
like
on air, whatever the term was.
the booth,
Yeah,
it's not
whatever
a
the
booth,
on
but
air term was.
like, yeah,
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 yeah, yeah. Essential virtual booths or whatever,
yeah.
right? And so they could, and so adding videos, adding PDFs, all of that stuff is possible. And it was surprising to me how some of these huge companies that wouldn't really engage with that.
Mm,
It seems like a no-brainer to me. That I mean, because I lean towards virtual anyway.
yeah.
What happens is I think some of these massive companies could set up a dedicated studio in their head office, have all their demo equipment, have their best salespeople and demo people and tech people and whatever company they are. They could have the best people there, and then they have dedicated Zoom sessions that are essentially the booths. And the thing that happens with a sponsor is that they could talk to 100 people, they could talk to 1,000 people. When in person, they could talk to three or four, maybe. And so, and with a bunch of cameras and whatever, they could set up a space that was far superior to a booth. They would get more questions answered. They would have people being able to listen into conversations, and they would connect with the best people. And so, again, it's about how it's positioned. Like, this is an amazing opportunity. You've got people that are wanting to know about your services, and they can come along. Like, even if you're not there, they can still get videos and downloads and PDFs and whatever. You'll get lead tracking on that, so you'll know if someone's downloaded something and you can follow them up. If you are there, and I would suggest stay there as much as you can, is that you would have this incredible interaction with people, be able to show off stuff and be able to, interview people or introduce them to different people and stuff. It's an incredible opportunity. So sometimes we undersell these things as like second rate, or like, oh, I'm so sorry. I guess, yeah, you could put a PDF there, but hopefully next year we'll be able to get back in person again and do the same old really expensive way of doing it versus actually what if this was better? Like what if it was if you just grabbed onto the opportunity and ran with it. So
Mm.
having that Zoom link, you can have a Zoom link there, and having the opportunity, and they know that maybe pre-show, post-show, they're available for an hour before and after or whatever. Please, go check out the sponsors, and they'll be there and ready to chat with you or whatever. That sort of stuff, I think, can work really well.
Mm.
Hybrid is tricky, I get it, because they've probably got their team on site, and they don't have all these extra people that can just be hanging out in
That's
Zoom,
right. Yeah.
you
Yeah, that
know?
was how you
Yeah,
split that. Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway.
But I would be like, your investment would be, I think your return on investment would be greater in virtual than it would be in person.
Mm.
Um, I think that the way that we do expos is so wacky, and I'm surprised that it still happens. Event after event, we have it where there's this limited amount of time for morning tea. Everyone has to walk 5 minutes from where they were to get there. Then they line up for coffee for 15 minutes, and then they've got to race back to the next session. I don't know how sponsors and booth operators are happy with that arrangement, where they're like, I've seen people walk past, but I didn't get any time to talk to them because they got to rush
Yeah.
back off the sessions. It's like conflicting sort of motivations and stuff. So I think it's ready to be disrupted, a totally new way of doing it.
Sounds like
Um,
might be your next another podcast coming up.
that's right, exactly. Yeah, you've pushed buttons, and there's the on me this morning. There's all these. It's like, why do we bring people together in the first place? Like, what are we about? It's about community. It's about connecting people together, and like having conversations more so than just throwing content at people.
Yeah.
Never have we had more content available to us. The world's content is available to us. So why do we put on events where we just
Well,
sit and
maybe
consume
because the
consume
content,
content?
maybe they're saturated with content, so that forced to see someone face to face, you actually have to, you
Sure.
forced to see it and watch it. I don't know.
Yeah, but we assume that because people are sitting in the room that they're consuming or
Yeah,
listening to
that's
content,
right.
right?
They might not be.
How many people are falling asleep in the back
Yeah,
row, right? Like
yeah,
but anyway, you didn't
yeah.
ask about that. But
So look, we're getting into philosophical here, but
that's right.
it's good.
On air, sorry, yeah. So, but in general, I would use, and if we have to, I will still use on air. I'm quite happy with a one-way stream.
Yeah,
Um, I would use Vimeo in on air, in a heartbeat, and be
yeah,
happy with that.
yeah.
Even if it's fully virtual, I think that's still the way I would go,
Mm,
because it's easy to send out the registration links, send out the on-air links to the people that have already registered. And we're kind of used to that system. That's still what I would use for
yeah.
virtual
Okay,
for these
that's good
sorts
to
of
know.
events.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
I'll see what the AV team we're keen to
yeah.
do too. I feel like I've taken up lots of
Well,
hogged
no, I've
the
hogged it.
topic today. Anyone else have any
I
things they
I
want?
took the ball. I took the ball and ran with it into
Oh,
another
I liked
field.
it.
So,
It was good.
You had things to say, Grant. Really, really did. You were like,
He's
locked
just
I'm
in.
waiting
ready.
for that
I'm
question.
ready.
Wait.
Pass it to me,
I have a question on
Francie.
related, because I've talked to people about it, and the concern was that people would then just not come
Mm.
if you were looking at doing an on-demand option or hybrid. I mean, I don't know why, because I'm always going to be in person, but there are people out there who would choose to not come. And I guess for New Zealand, obviously the conferences that I'm working with are smaller, so it's not like it
Mhm.
does make a difference.
If people don't show up, you mean it
Yeah,
makes a
if people
difference
are
if
like,
not
actually,
everyone
no,
there.
I'm going to go online on demand because I know that I can just do that rather than coming all that way, save accommodation, save all the travel expenses,
Well, yeah.
which is like, it's fine, but from a conference organizing perspective, when you want people,
Yeah.
And
And
yeah,
you want
Yep.
you're
you want
nodding, Kelly.
experience. Yeah.
Is it something that you
So
both have? Shush, Grant. I'm asking Kelly because she was nodding.
Literally, the conversation that I've had like in the last couple of weeks is like, yeah, we want people in person because like that the venue costs are high, the like everything uh is high. So we need bums on seats. But then you have people who want virtual and you're like, oh well, this is not accessible if it's not virtual. And it's like, well, everything else we design as part of the conference is accessible. Um like you're just the barrier is just getting there, so that's a bit like frustrating, and it's like, well, we can't serve everyone, and that is a real concern that people will just choose the cheaper option. I know Lisa was saying that her online or even on demand tickets are actually no cheaper than an in-person one, so that
Yeah, right.
also like changes that barrier.
Yeah, right.
Because yeah, it is no cheaper to just like to hybrid to do any of that kind of stuff. So when you consider it that way, and she gets good numbers to
Yeah, right.
her conferences.
Yeah.
Hi Lisa, if you're watching. Um and yeah, it's one of those things that's just like what do you value? Can you make the money by offering it? Are people going to receive that well? Like I know OTA when I was there, we stopped offering hybrid because the experience was bad. The uh, low registrations for it, the low attendance for it, the cost to serve, like basically what we made out of it was and then people were upset. But it's like, well, no one was actually registering for that. Like you weren't accessing it. You're sad that we don't offer it, but you weren't actually accessing it. So people still wanted to go in person. But granted, that was 2024. I'm seeing a bit more of a shift for people going like, let's just do an online conference here at Spa. And I'm like, I don't know how to deliver that for you in the way that you expect it to, and at a
That's
cost that's
awesome.
reasonable.
Yeah. That's the expectations, like Grant said. You're allowed to join the conversation, Grant.
Welcome back.
are you sure?
Yeah.
I would say that if someone is choosing to go online than go in person, then we're designing our events wrong. In
Mm.
that it should be that they desperately want to be in person, and if there was any way for them to be in person, then they're going to do it.
Yeah, right.
But if you're offering an online solution, that's going to pick up the people that were never going to come anyway.
Yeah, right. Yep.
And so then it's about, again, it's about communicating all of these huge advantages about being in person.
Mm-mm.
And the chances are it's not going to be about content, it's going to be about connection.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be saying that here's all these things that are opportunities for you to meet and talk and, get into the nitty gritties of things,
Mm.
hang out at the bar, whatever it is, right? Like there's these social activities and whatever. None of our social activities are going to be live streamed, like all of that stuff. It's like you want to be in person because you're going to get all this extra stuff. You're going to rub
Mm.
shoulders with people that you don't get to. And so that's why you want to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
And so it's a different
So,
thing, you know.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I think in general, I think of online as inclusive, and I think of in person as exclusive. And the reason that not in a bad way, I mean that it's a special experience that we get
Mm.
this number of people, 20 people, 500 people, whatever it is that we've got to gather in person. It's really special that we got to do that. And so that's an exclusive experience that you got to be here in person. And the online experience is available for everyone to make it inclusive, to people that couldn't possibly make it from remote areas or different countries or whatever it is that get to attend your event. So yeah, I think it's a fear. It's a fear about people, we need those bums on seats. But if we take that fear and put it into designing a really great event for the things that people want to do, that want to come together for,
Mm.
then you might not have the capacity for all the people that want to come. You know, like it could be
Yeah.
the other way around.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm stealing those lines. Thanks. I like that.
So you're happy I talked now. Oh,
Oh, I didn't want to
you're
not
happy.
talk at all. I just wanted Kelly to make sure that Kelly actually got charged.
Fair enough. Yeah, and I do agree about the pricing as well. And people were
Mm.
like, "But we're not getting food. We're not getting this. We're not getting that." Well, it's like, and yeah, and so but it does mean if you're going
That's
to,
the cheap thing.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's right. If you're going to position it as equal to the in-person
Mm.
event, then you do need to invest into the online
Yeah,
experience,
100%.
and you got to make sure that it's going to work well because
Yeah.
you've put that high ticket on it, and
Mm.
you're backing it yourself and saying it's
Mm.
going to be a good experience for you.
Yeah.
It'll be a different experience, but it is going to be a good one. And unfortunately, you have to do that for 5 people or for 500 people online, and it essentially costs pretty similar, right?
Yes.
Like it's pretty similar to service a 500 people audience online as it is to do 5 people online, because you
Mm.
still need support staff, you need people around, you need hosts and stuff. Victoria mentioning about an online host, I love that it's super
Mm.
cool. We've done little sessions before where we set up a little booth out in the foyer with our host, and then what's super cool after plenary sessions is as soon as the plenary session finishes, we have organized to get the keynote speaker into that booth in the
Oh, that's
foyer, and they're talking and answering questions to people online.
Oh, that's
It's kind
cool.
of
Yeah.
it's like a little bonus session for
Yeah.
people online, and
Mm.
you're just firing off questions. Sometimes you don't do questions at all in those plenary sessions, and so being able to just spend 5-10 minutes with that keynote speaker with the online audience is a super cool way. And now it's like, oh, this is a really unique, cool experience. And that's not terribly difficult or expensive. It's not too bad to make something like that happen.
Mm.
And yeah, ends up being like the commentary team, sometimes. And
Mm.
and we've had that, sometimes it's like, oh, turn to the person next to you and ask them, like these 3 questions. And suddenly now, what's the online audience doing? And that's when our host jumps in again and says, "Oh, just write in the chat or tell me what you think about this or whatever." And that's a really nice experience,
Mm.
when you can have a host. So fun.
Mm.
So fun.
So
But it
are
is,
you?
yeah, sorry. You go, Kelly.
No, you go, Victoria.
No, I was just going to say about the making the call on when the virtual, you've got enough registrations to make it worth it versus not, like otherwise you're going to make a loss if you haven't got enough virtuals and you're spending all this money. How you manage that in advance is something I'm just envisaging, like
Mm,
to make sure that you can deliver it. But it's also if you only get 5 and you've budgeted for 100,
mm.
that's the break even point. How you sort of get around that. But anyway,
Package
Well,
it to
yeah,
sell on demand afterwards to
yeah,
people who didn't attend at
yeah,
all, who hear
yeah.
the like how amazing it was and then
yeah,
want
that's a
to
good
buy.
point. Yeah,
That would be the only kind of thing to
yeah,
claw back. But then it also depends
that's
of
right.
where you host that on demand stuff.
Yes.
But
Yeah, no,
that would
that's,
be my thoughts.
yeah,
I agree with that. I think a week out, or yeah, probably a week out, and being able to say, unfortunately, we haven't had the uptake that we needed to make live work, and potentially we're converting your registration to an on demand, and we've got a refund that we're going to give you, of the difference. And you probably still, you can still be ahead on that, I think. Of course, you're telling an AV company that now they don't need all that extra stuff, or they
yeah,
don't need the extra staff or whatever it is. But Some of those decisions may be made for us, and getting back into to the global politics, but I do think there's a few issues, and one of those is even the virtue signaling, depending on the types of companies that you're dealing with or the organizations that you're dealing with, the optics of people all flying to a particular location in a time when we have perceived fuel shortages may be too much for some organizations to bear, which means we have to be able to pivot in some way and not have all those as many people flying around as they need to, as they were going to. I think that's a real possibility.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had a lot of discussions around it. It's a bit, and we're
Yeah,
all talking about how it just feels a bit COVID-y again.
it does. Yep,
Yeah.
totally does. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
supermarket shelves echo that. Don't know
Yeah.
what it's like over
yeah,
there, but yeah.
yeah,
Not toilet paper, bread and milk.
yeah. And I think it is context for the audiences that we're having come together as well, is that there just is a heaviness around the world. And so as we put on these events about very specific things, understanding that, people's capacity for taking on a whole bunch of heavy information may not be as it was, you know,
Mm.
and having more of those breathing spaces and, like just gaps in the program for people just to breathe out a little bit, I think is
Mm.
super important.
Mm.
Yeah. People people feeling stressed out.
I still go back to my, you won't have heard this, and apologies to the other two because I don't know how many times. I'm doing it a lot at the moment because I've got a new conference contract. So I did a conference last year. It was only a 1 day. We only had 4 sessions. We had a speaker in the morning, then we had morning tea, then we had another speaker, we had lunch,
Yeah.
another speaker, afternoon
So
tea, and
nice.
then a panel.
So
And
nice.
I got some feedback, like they were pretty heavy sessions. So it was a neurodiversity, a dyslexia,
Mm,
uh, Gloriavale, which is a cult near here. Gloriavale leaver came to talk, and then a panel on the Treaty of Waitangi. So it was a very heavy day, but everyone was like, it was amazing because we had, I think, about 30-45 minutes of the speaker of presentation, and then the other half hour for each session was talking, and it
yeah.
just went really well.
Yeah, great.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
and
really cool.
it's quality over quantity, and
Yeah,
I can
that's
see
right.
this whole, like, the conference that I'm working on, they're like, and one that I attend regularly, an event here, and they just jam so much in, and it's like, no, I could go online. I could just go and watch those people probably do a very similar presentation on YouTube, particularly,
Yeah.
paid speakers.
Mm.
There's just, yeah, I really struggle sometimes when there's not enough like information given to speakers to say you have this time. You must not go over, which is where your pre-records come in so well, right? And because then you can actually make sure that it's to time and then have that Q&A afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah, knowing how long the presentation is
Yeah,
such an advantage.
yeah,
Um, yeah, that it reminds me of the TED conferences, not TEDx, but the TED global conferences. I heard that a big part of what they do is like a couple of presentations, and then they'll have like a 90-minute break, and it's like networking and stuff, right? And then they come back in, and then it's like, okay, here's a
yeah,
rapid fire.
right.
And of course, they're known so well for their, really tight presentations, the talks,
Mm,
um, and then another couple of hours of just like of networking and connecting and stuff, and it makes a lot of sense. Like you condense that content and then
yeah,
give the time for connection and interaction and stuff, and so. Yeah, but it's challenging for CPD based events,
That's right.
right?
Mm.
Yeah,
That it's
yeah.
And
about hours
academia.
and stuff. Yep,
And they,
yep,
they don't get funding unless they get accepted,
Mm.
yep,
all of that
yep.
stuff.
I,
So
I get it. Yeah, Yeah, the abstract submission process and all of that. I get it. It's
Yeah.
tricky.
And that's sort of the point of a lot of the conferences, is
Yeah.
that. But we find we've been trying to run more briefings in advance, whether that's by the association or, by us, or, just because of that
Yeah.
we've got a lot of quantity, but we want to make sure everyone has the quality as well. But it
Yeah.
comes down to the individual in the end a lot of the time. But
The other thing I feel is comms. People
yeah,
getting overloaded with
Yeah.
of like, I mean, we're all full inboxes,
mm,
and then my part-time role, there's so many emails that go out. It's
Mm.
like and then you get the event emails as well, and it's like just
It's just noise.
just
It's just
noise.
noise.
yeah,
Yeah.
So people
Yeah.
don't know stuff. Yeah, yeah,
No, I've seen a few emails coming through now which are dot point, like no pros at all.
yeah,
And they're just like, here's five word dot point,
yeah,
4 word dot point,
yeah.
like, thank you. It's like,
yeah,
and yes, and I mean, it's just like, oh, that's so good. I've even seen stories that way, like, it was like an advertising, but see you, Kelly.
Bye, Kelly.
Yeah, that it was a full story that was like in dot point, this person that did this, then they did this, then they did this, and this is what happened. And it was like, but I think especially with like the comms to speakers, like
Yeah,
what is it that they need to do? When do they need to be somewhere?
yeah,
It's just like, if you read nothing else, here's the 3 things you must know
yeah,
Yeah,
right at the top. It's
yeah.
yeah,
like,
Summary.
yeah,
You
yeah,
must do this
yeah,
by
yeah,
this
yeah.
date.
Please come to this or watch this or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Mm,
Yeah. Yeah, it's tricky. It's a moving landscape.
it is.
yeah. This was a very unexpected conversation today, though. Like,
Welcome
uh,
to our
no,
whatever
in a
it's
good
Yeah,
called,
that's
way.
right.
AirHeads.
Coming in, I didn't have any thoughts about what I was going to ask, and it just
Yeah,
seems like this is way more relevant than any of us really want it to be. Like, apart, obviously, Grant, you do virtual all the time, but it's
yeah.
this this pivoting that's potentially need to happen is, yeah, we wouldn't have been having a conversation like this a year ago, I don't think. So,
No.
No,
yeah,
no, yeah, and I really think the best thing that we can do is talk it up.
yeah,
Because for anyone that we're talking to, our
Mhm.
team, our stakeholders, because it's very easy to just say, this is the worst thing that's happening, and I just wish that we could just do it the same way that we've always done it. And it's like, but what if?
yeah,
What if there's a gem in this that's like this, where we're able to reach more people than we have before, that we're able to, like, you just get some of those stories. We've done some events with people from Papua New Guinea, which is so awesome, right? Like in medical field.
yeah,
And they were just like, we cannot make it. There's no way that we can make it. But if you can, yeah, and we literally had a session where we had 3 Papua New Guinea people on, and that was it. That was our virtual audience. And it
No.
was totally worth it, right? Like, at
Yeah.
what point do you go, oh, we didn't have enough numbers? Oh no, but if they were the right people, they were never going to get that experience.
Yeah.
And so it's just talking it up. It's like, this could be really amazing, and
Mm.
let's embrace it and run with it, and see what happens because of it. So
But
yeah.
my business coach recently said that we've got to, you got to zig, you got to zig when everyone else is zagging,
Right. Yeah.
just because,
yeah,
Yeah.
just gotta, you can't do anything about the things you can't control. You can do what you can control. And so you make what you can control awesome and different.
I really love that. And I
Mm,
think I think that resonates with me. I said I'm being pessimistic about what's going to happen. And I actually think what it is I'm trying to be proactive
mm,
instead of reactive. And I think that most of us are sitting back going, well, if we have to react to whatever happens, then we will. But if we could just be one step ahead of that, then
mm,
we have the opportunity to be proactive,
yeah,
which means that we can embrace it and we can choose it and we can choose that path. And then we can say, this is what we're doing intentionally, not because we've been forced into it,
mm,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
Um, so It's just I don't know what you read. I joked with my wife because I was on doom scrolling, and it was like channel 7, right? It was literally like this. Channel 7 news. There are 50 new boats coming in, 50 new ships that are coming in, fuel ships that are coming into Australia. It's all going to be fine. Next one, Channel 9 News. There are 30 days left of oil. There is going to be shortages. We should be doing rationing right now. It was
Yeah.
literally like the next
Yeah.
video they have.
Yeah.
So you don't know who to listen to,
No.
which was the argument that our PM here, did a national address and didn't really say anything, except that the reason he said was because there's all this misinformation and stuff out there. You don't know what to listen
Yeah,
to.
exactly.
So it's like, I guess we've got to listen to the government, but you really just don't know. So
No.
I'm just trying to be like ready to be proactive.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
we've already got a plan in place. That type of idea.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the clients they're listening to the same things we are. So some of them like, nothing to worry about. We'll be right. It's all good.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and you kind of like, well, actually, it might be,
Mm,
but and they no, we don't need to make any plans, and it ends up being up to us to make sure, even if they can't
okay.
see it, that we have the plan in place and we know what it's going to cost and all of that stuff. But it's interesting to see the different industries just saying that's fine, and others
Yeah.
are more onto it. So
Well, I've
yeah,
seen that
finding that.
too because I think you can buy flights now. You can still buy international flights for seemingly the same price.
Yeah,
And I don't quite get that. I'm like, how
Yeah.
is it that fuel prices, including
Right.
avgas, has gone way up? How are you still doing it? And the only thing that I can think is that they're hoping that they fill up their flights and then it goes ahead. If it doesn't, they just cancel it,
yeah,
right? I think that's likely. And that's the tricky thing, for an event like ours coming up. Is like, are we really going to wait till a couple of days out and then there's just cancellations, right? It's like
Yeah.
people can't get there because it's just cancellations
yeah.
everywhere.
That's a really good
Well,
point,
because
actually.
I remember at COVID again, I don't know what it was like in Oz, but around COVID, there were certain things and a lot of insurance as well, just generally, because I was part of a conference where we had an earthquake. And
Wow.
so
Yeah.
we needed to, it was the day before the conference was
The
supposed
earthquake
to
was the day
start.
before.
We couldn't actually say no to people because we hadn't had confirmation from the venue that it was not. So we had
Structurally
to wait
sound
for
or whatever.
confirmation from the venue to say you can't have the conference here. If we cancelled before then, we wouldn't have got our insurance payout.
Wow.
So there's stuff like that, right? Is that there's a lot of
Yeah.
flights. If you cancelled it and the flight still went, you might not
Yep.
get the discount or that refund.
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
there's that whole problem on top of it is that it's not just like can't be safe.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really do think that planning to live stream is
Mm,
really where we need to be at. Because if like I said, we just like, okay, we're hoping for plan A, and the day before a bunch of cancellations happen, you need to be able to say, it's okay, it's still
we've got
happening.
this. Yeah.
It's online. I
Yeah.
know, unfortunately, you can't get here. Sorry about that, but we are online.
Yeah.
Mm,
And potentially like that, the viewing parties idea that can be
mm,
spun up pretty quickly, where you're like, you get a little room at a restaurant, like private rooms has a projector, and you're just like, we're gonna put a viewing party, first 50 people that go, there. Can you
Mm,
organize a viewing party? Can you organize a viewing party? That type of idea. I think that can work. Um, but AV companies need to be ready, to be
yeah,
able to
that's
turn
it.
on the live streaming, so
Yeah,
mm.
interesting times.
it is. It is. Um, cool. I'm just
Right.
thinking of all the plans I've got to put in place. Um, so I
Come
just
here to
sorry.
increase your workload,
Yeah,
Victoria.
I
That's what we
Yeah.
do.
know.
Plan multiple events now at the
Yeah,
same
that's
time.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did have one other question, Grant. Sorry, back to
Yeah.
the more technical thing about on air, like
Mm.
you don't use Aircast, you use Zoom.
No. So yeah, correct. Sorry,
Yeah.
correct. Except that we're not using Zoom within on air at all, because essentially where Aircast came in was where it was like it was contribution and distribution, right?
Mm,
So it was saying we're going to have these three speakers come in, they're going to do their session, and we can press buttons in the browser and
yeah.
make them appear, and
Yes.
then it'll stream, right? That was Aircast.
Yeah.
Um, our preference was to do that in more traditional broadcast hardware and stuff. Have it all separate. Have a switcher. Have the AV equipment, dedicated equipment, doing one task, not just having it all run in a browser. Um, that sort of thing. There's a guy that used to work at, he's a mate of mine, Brendan, who used to work for Events Air. And Events Air was showing
Hi,
off
Brendan.
yeah, and they were sending they were showing a session in one of their update things, right?
Mm.
Um, and this was back when, what's his name that started Events Air?
Trevor.
Trevor.
Trevor,
Trevor.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That it was back when Trevor was CEO.
Yeah.
And so they're showing this thing off, they're showing Aircast and stuff. And there's Brendan, right? And he's like on this little laptop, and he's just like doing the whole show. And I wrote, admittedly, I realized it was not the best way to communicate it now, but I wrote in the chat, Brendan is the single source of failure. And 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 they kicked me out of the event, out of the event. Right. And I was like,
Ah,
oh, what? Sorry. It was not about Brendan. Brendan's a great guy and a
yeah.
really good
But you could
technician, right?
see him, right? You could see a video feed of him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
was
I
like,
think
and I
I
could
was in
see
that.
they were kind of struggling to make some things work. And it was
Yeah.
like, this is the equivalent of one person doing the pit crew at
Mm,
at a Formula One change, right? They're going around changing each tire
Yeah.
and filling up themselves.
Yeah.
And it was like, and now we're surprised that that took 20 minutes instead of 3 seconds,
Yeah.
because you need to use team. You have
Yeah.
team, and then if one thing fails, the whole show doesn't fail. But
yeah.
if Brendan's laptop failed, the
Yeah.
whole show fails. And so that was part of the reason with Aircast. Whereas in this example, when we use traditional ways of doing a broadcast,
Mhm.
if we lose the Zoom presenter, that part goes down. That's okay, because we've still got a video we can cut to. We can go to a holding slide. We can do whatever, right? We haven't lost our stream. And so that's the reason that we do it separately and then just give on air a Vimeo ID, and that's our stream.
Interesting. Yeah,
You
okay.
know.
Mm.
Yeah.
Now they have cut. I don't know if it still works, but I know they were
I've
planning to cut Aircast.
Yeah, I've just looked. It's still an option if you choose
Yeah,
virtual as your, but I think they're trying to,
it's not fully supported. I
yeah,
don't. I
Yeah,
don't
so
think. I
just
think it'd
avoid.
be a bit dangerous if you were looking for a similar thing like that. Then there's like StreamYard, and there's other systems online that do
Mm,
that type of thing.
yeah.
Um, So yeah, it's possible to Brendan. Yeah, awesome. No offense taken. You're 100% right. That's awesome, man.
I was he watching somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. You must be watching the live stream. That's awesome, man.
Hi, Brendan.
Yeah, and he totally gets it. Like
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Um,
He was
and
the 1 point. That's what you were meaning, rather than
That's right. I didn't communicate it well, but the point was, yeah, it's actually a phrase that's used technically, is that a
yeah,
single
right.
point of failure, is that if that goes down, the whole thing is gone,
Mm,
versus you want to separate that out into multiple failure points in that
yeah.
sense, so that you don't lose the whole thing.
Mm,
And there's certain ways you could do it with backups and different things like that. And so, but anyway, yeah. So when it's kind of fully virtual. Of course, when you're doing it on site, you're going to need to get a Zoom presenter on screen anyway, right?
Yeah.
And so generally the AV teams will be familiar with that. That hasn't really stopped, I don't think. I think that
No.
having remote presenters,
Yeah, no, but definitely every AV company is still
yeah,
up for
and it was
that.
a flow-on effect from COVID, right?
Yeah.
Like pre-COVID, someone couldn't make it, they couldn't make it, and
Yeah.
so it was rare to say, "Oh, well, let's just bring you in remotely."
Mm,
Whereas I feel like that's been more common now, where it's like, "I can't
definitely.
make it, can I call in?"
Yeah.
Sure, you can call in, we'll make that work. So the thing is that AV company is likely already mixing something for the screen, and so they can potentially mix that out for the live stream as well. So that's kind of how that works. But
That's how our we did it when we were live streaming COVID times, is that I can't remember what it was called, but they streamed into the Vimeo. So Vimeo was attached to Events Air, but they were
Yeah.
doing all the mixing and stuff that then went into Vimeo.
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and actually Vimeo has a thing that you can do call-ins and things as well. The thing that we've found too is that there's all these other systems that people can use to be a remote presenter. We just really like using Zoom because people are familiar with it.
Yeah.
It's like we don't have to teach any speakers where the mute button is or how to give permissions to their camera or whatever.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just works. Let
Yeah.
us do the heavier part on our side and let's just make it super easy for our speakers,
Yeah.
That tends to be the way we lean. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to agree on that
And I
front.
think that's
Yeah.
what we used to do, is that they'd zoom in to
Yeah.
whatever they used.
yeah, right.
And
Right.
then I can't
Yeah,
remember.
and that was an aircast thing too, it was asking.
Yeah.
And some people got used to that, but
Mhm.
yeah, our preference was lowest common denominator,
Right. I'm gonna have to run
Yeah, better head
as
off
much as I'd
too.
love to
Fair enough.
stay. Nice to catch
Yeah.
up. Nice to have you here,
It was good.
Victoria.
Lovely to
Good
see you,
chat.
Francie. Enjoy the rest of your day.
We're going to see what
Fingers
happens.
crossed.
Just a quick one. Victoria wanted
Yeah.
to know whether you set an agenda at the start of the meeting. Grant, I was like, no, we just talk.
No,
It is-
Victoria set the agenda
I
today.
did.
That's what
My
it is.
apologies.
No, don't apologize.
No,
That's
I'm
how we
still
roll.
I'm trying to get Fleur back.
Oh, Fleur,
And
yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so when we do, it will happen. And then I'll say to Fleur, what can you spend 10 minutes talking about for us? And then I'll send out something about that.
Yeah.
We,
But
we very rarely struggle to find something to talk
No,
about.
I
clearly
know
evidenced
we've gone
as
plenty.
today.
We've gone plenty of time over
Yeah,
today. But yeah, I'm sure that it's going to be interesting in the next week. When we come back next week, I'm sure we'll still be talking about hybrid and virtual and all that sort of stuff. And it won't go away for a little while, I don't think.
Cool.
So watch this space.
Yeah,
Yeah,
watch this
watch
space.
this
All right. Lovely to see you both. Thanks
Awesome.
for
Thanks so
chatting.
much.
Okay.
Okay.
See
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Cheers.